The views expressed in this program do not necessarily reflect those of this station.
Welcome to Insights into Northeast Michigan, a WBKB News public affairs program. Insights deals with the issues affecting those in the community, as well as Northeast Michigan and the state. And now, Insights into Northeast Michigan.
Welcome to Insights. I'll be your host, Teresa Lepowski, and we're out here at Wolf Creek Acres in Alpena County. I'm here with Amy Resnowski and her husband, and they have been verified by the state in farmstead, cropping, and livestock. So Amy, how do you do it all? This must be the livestock.
This is the livestock. We have about 225 egg layers out here. And as you can see, we move them every couple of days onto fresh grass. And then over in the other field, we have about 400 meat chickens.
So a year ago, roughly, today, you and your husband decided to begin this process. What made you want to start it?
Well, Randy contacted us and we thought it was something that was important for people to know how we are on our farm and how we take care of everything that we have and be as safe as possible.
So throughout the course of it, what sort of things did he look at and what sort of things did he have you change?
Just little things that he had us change, like we had to check the drainage in our garage. And then also our composting system, wanted to make sure that that was okay. So just some little tweaks here and there, but other than that, we were pretty good with everything.
Now that Wolf Creek Acres is verified, what do you think that offers to your brand?
I think it just lets everybody know that we have been checked out and that everything we do is on the up and up and that we're as safe as possible.
Awesome. Was it difficult? Was it a difficult process?
No, Randy made it quite pleasurable. He really walked us through every step of the way. Anytime I had a question, he'd answer it for me, and it was really quite fun, very educational. I learned a lot.
Awesome. Would you suggest it to other farmers in the area, or what would you say to other farmers in the area who are considering it?
I would say go ahead and do it. I mean, the more people that can go out there and get verified, that's just saying how much more healthier community is as a whole too. If we had a whole bunch of people, then that just says that much better things about us. So,
farming and livestock is a huge part of the lives of many people in northern Michigan, including yourselves. Did that have something to do with why you wanted to get verified?
Absolutely. I have, well, my husband and I, we have 4 children and a little grandchild, and I want them to be raised in the most healthy environment as possible. And so if we're doing it here safely, that I know that they're eating good food and it's all natural and it's just better for everybody around.
Wow, isn't it cool to know that you raised this yourself?
It's awesome, and you can't get much more fresher than that. That was just laid probably 5 minutes ago.
No kidding. So what is different about this than the eggs that we see in the supermarket?
Well, the eggs that you see in the supermarket are already weeks old. And the ones out here, obviously they're eating the fresh grass, getting the vitamin D from the sunshine. They're never in a barn. The most they do is they go into the coop to lay their egg and to go to sleep. Other than that, they're out here. And we're always moving them, so they're always eating the bugs for the protein and everything that an egg is supposed to have.
It is actually still warm. As a farm that sustains livestock, obviously their manure is something that you have to deal with. So how do you, we have it right here behind us, how do you make sure you deal with it safely?
Well, when we gather the manure, we bring it out here and it's on a concrete pad, so it's contained safely. It has to be so far away from your well for your drinking water, and then this is year number 2, this is year 1. As it breaks down, then we can move it on out to the field and use it in our gardens, just keeping that rotation going. A lot of the conventional farming, they are all in a huge facility. They're not in the fresh air. They're just stockpiled in there, really jammed close. What we believe is as soon as we can, we get them out to the field and they're out in all the elements that they should be in. We move them every day, sometimes twice a day in these pens here. And so they're constantly getting the fresh grass, the sunlight, the bugs, all the nutrition that they need to grow properly. And then also when you do this, they're not getting dirty. They're always clean. Like you can see where they were yesterday and how they are clean today. So we don't ever have to worry about cleaning up after them. Mother Nature takes care of it for us.
What kind of birds are these?
These are a Cornish rock.
Okay, and what do you use them for?
And this is a meat bird, and they are about 4 weeks old here, and we'll be moving them every day until they're about 7 to 8 weeks old. And by then they're about 5-6 pounds, and then we process them and sell them out of the house or up at the farmer's market, or Alpena General Store sells them also. So they're very happy out here.
You said that this is the pride and joy of your farm. Why is that?
Well, we take extreme pride in it because not many people raise their chickens this way. They like to keep them in the barn. They think growing them bigger, faster is the way to go when we don't feel that way. We think that they should be doing what a chicken is meant to do. And I always have the saying, a happy, healthy chicken is for a happy, healthy you. And that's true. Because these chickens are happy, and there's about 75 in a pen, which seems like a lot, but they have plenty of room to move, and that's the top that we'd ever put in a pen this size. So one of the main requirements for becoming MEAP verified is your proper storage of anything from gasoline cans to your fertilizers and chemicals that you use on your farm. But luckily we don't have to worry about that because we don't use any of those. Our fertilizer comes from our animals only. And we don't use any chemicals or sprays, so we didn't have to worry about proper storage for any of that because we don't have to worry about that. But this is one of our big pumpkins.
Wow. Oh
It's
my
got to be several
gosh.
hundred pounds is my guess. So
That's enormous.
yep, we're really babying this guy, but yep, so pumpkins can get that big without any chemical treatment to them.
Yeah, you'd never guess, but
Yep.
right here on this locally verified farm, you can get giant pumpkins. Thank you so much, Amy, for showing us your farm today. It was beautiful. It was great to see those sustainable practices that you've been using. And when we return, we'll talk to Randy Melberg, who works with MEAP in Northeast Michigan to verify farms. Welcome back to Insights. I'm here with Randy Melberg, and he's the MEAP technician of Northeast Michigan. Thanks for being with us, Randy.
Thank you.
So how do you get verified like Wolf Creek Acres did?
Okay, we start the process with a phase one. Typically, doesn't necessarily have to go that way. So you could call the office or email the office and just let us know that you're interested in becoming a verified farm in the state of Michigan. And then we'll get you set up with a phase one, and then an assessment. We'll come out and actually use the assist tools, as we call them, to walk through and quantify resource concerns that may be on the farm.
In phase one, it's a bit of an educational segment. Describe that.
Just basically it takes in any kind of educational component within the agricultural community. So it could be fuel storage, it could be safety on the farm, it could be cropping systems to where maybe it's herbicide, or trials that are done locally in the area from MSU, Michigan State University Extension, to where they're doing some trials. So all of those components would qualify for phase one.
So producers in phase one go to some educational segment, they get one credit there, then what's next?
Then next we come out and do the assessment, start with the assessment. Sometimes we'll, as we go through that assessment, multiple farms, some of them I've got in the system we've been working with, it's 2 to 3, 4 years. The program is completely voluntary and it's non-regulatory. The emphasis isn't to be the groundwater cop, it's to try to help folks to move into an area where the farm is more sustainable and it's protecting or educating, if you will, on the resource concerns associated with groundwater and surface water.
Here at Wolf Creek Acres, the producers wanted to get verified in farmstead system, cropping system, and livestock system. So what did they have to go through to do that?
Basically came out and did the assessment. We took a look at isolation distance associated with chemicals on the farm. We took a look at isolation distance associated with the composting facility located out back, and then the surface drains inside the garage, and just kind of made recommendations to them in an action plan that says these are the things you need to correct to get the verification.
So how do you get these farms to participate in a program like this where it will better the environment, but some farms might be skeptical that it's regulatory, or they might be punished for it?
So we maintain confidentiality for the producer, and then it's a non-regulatory component. So we're here to just educate and help producers locate resources to make those changes that might be necessary on the farm. In some cases, some producers, it's a minimal cost. Sometimes it's just changing the management practice a little bit. In other cases, it might require a manure stacking facility. And in that case, we try to line those producers up with Natural Resource Conservation Service to get into the EQIP program and get a conservation plan through those folks to mitigate the resource concerns that we've identified on the farm.
What is the overall goal of MEEP?
Just to protect the resources of the state, which is, people don't realize that surface water and fresh water is limited. It's not a renewable resource. What we have is what we have. It cycles continually. So protecting that and not allowing a lot of stuff, contamination, to impact that and the creeks and streams and fishing and the quality of life, very important to the program and personally very important to me.
Wolf Creek Acres took about 1 year to comply completely with the MEEP programs, what they would like for them. Is it the same for all farms, or is it completely different across the board?
It's completely different across the board. Some farms can come into the program and within 6 months they're verified. Other farms, it takes a lot of time to get them into the other systems through NRCS to make those changes or modifications through the EQIP program. And I've got farms right now that are outstanding probably within four years. They just completed their work with NRCS and we're moving towards verification for them. So.
Now, we've talked a lot about how smaller farms are actually more important to get verified for this particular than a commercial procedure.
Not necessarily more important. My emphasis is that the small scale producers seem to think that they may or may not, that they're more sustainable than a larger scale producer. And then, so what I try to do is educate to the fact that that watershed may have 30 small scale producers that don't think what their activities are having an impact directly or indirectly on groundwater or surface water. And so it's important to me to educate them to that 30 producers could have a bigger impact on a small watershed than what one large producer does, just simply because of the thought processes. Small farms think maybe more is better. Large producers, because of the cost of inputs, they're monitoring and only putting on the amount of nutrients that they need for the cropping system. They're not putting more on to where it could leach through the soil. Typically what happens, especially now where we get a lot of rain, the nitrogen or the nitrates will wash right through the soil profile, and that would put it right into the groundwater. So it's important for all aspects of agriculture, not just large or small, but it just seems that the smaller scale folks don't seem to think that this program is really applicable to them, but it is. And then there's some benefits for the small scale guy that's directly marketing. You can use the MEEP logo on your product and educate people as to what the farm's gone through to minimize those risks or to address any risks that the farm may have.
Gotcha. In recent years, there's been a lot of buzz about organic food, buying local. What does this have to do with that?
Nothing. Your practices from an organic perspective, that's a very good thing. It's more sustainable to a degree, but even at that, our program requires that you at least document what you're using. So whether it's composting, where'd you go with it, how much did you apply to the field, and just the record keeping on that. If you're using irrigation, it's to document the amount of water that you used, for those crop systems, and not over applying the water or not under applying, but just what the crop needs to uptake the moisture that's there.
What Wolf Creek Acres has decided to do, how will that impact the environment around them?
It makes for safer drinking water for the household, because now they're aware of issues that may pertain to health associated with groundwater, and just overall just a general good feeling that I've done something here that's good for the local environment, as the community as a whole, and it just improves everything on that. And then they know, because you've had, like I said, third-party verifiers coming out. We've engaged in lots of conversations over processes and how to do various different things that might correct something. Not that it's a major impact, but just from a management perspective.
Well, thank you so much for being with us, Randy. It was great to hear insights from you.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Next, we'll hear from Aaron Satchel, who verifies farms in Northeast Michigan and the UP. Welcome to Insights. I'm your host, Teresa Lepowski, and I'm here with Aaron Satchel. He verifies farms in Northeast Michigan and the Upper Peninsula that are in correspondence with the Michigan Agriculture Environmental Assurance Program. Thanks for being with us, Aaron.
Thank you for having me.
So what is the program all about? What is the goal?
The goal is to help farms identify environmental issues that may exist on their farm and then bring them the resources to address those and ultimately to give them recognition for their accomplishments.
Okay. When you complete an environmental risk assessment of any particular farm, what are you exactly looking for?
It's very comprehensive. We look at many facets of the farm. The system is broken into subsystems to help the farms organize our efforts. So we have a farmstead system and a cropping system and a livestock system. What systems a particular farm is involved in can depend on, obviously, what that farm does. We look for potential risks of environmental issues that might occur on the farm. And when we identify those, we work with the farmer, we bring them resources and information to help them address those risks and make them smaller.
Excellent. How do risk assessments better the environment?
Farms are very prevalent in our landscape. You know, they are a big part of what we see, and on those farms, there's a lot of activities that happen. There are a lot of different potential environmental risks. Those can range from petroleum storage to pesticides, fertilizers, manure. Many of the operations that farmers are engaged in have the potential to have environmental consequences. I guess once the farm understands, you know, their circumstances in relation to what risk they may have in their environment, it gives them the ability to then take steps to lessen those risks.
Do you find that farms in Northeast Michigan are willing to participate, or do you find the opposite to be true?
I found that the more farms become aware of the program, the more willingness there is to participate. It's definitely growing. The demand for MEEP assistance and involvement has just been growing very rapidly in my coverage area.
Do farmers have choices about how involved the process is?
Because the program is broken up into separate systems, farms do have the ability to pick out individual systems to address one at a time. Sometimes, as we go through a farm, it may seem a little daunting to undertake all of the items we may identify. So by allowing them to work through the process system by system, it gives them a chance to focus their efforts in individual areas. But in order to be MEEP verified, they do have to meet all of the standards. They're not able to do a small verification or a large one. It really is, all the standards need to be met in order to be verified in that system.
So you're the third step of a 1, 2, 3-step process. It's quite extensive. How long does it take for a farm to be verified?
It really depends on the farm. Some of them may complete the process in a month if they really have few risks, or they're able to very quickly address the things that we identify. Typically, it'll be a year or more. Ideally, the farm becomes engaged in the process. There's an educational component. They learn a bit about the subjects that we're talking about. And then with that on-farm assessment, they have a second set of eyes that come out to the farm and give them an idea of what the technician sees when they get there. Then my role, you know, is the last step in the process, where I come out and I verify that they've met the standards.
How does the program directly benefit farmers who participate?
It benefits them in a number of ways. One of the reasons the program was first established was it was recognized by the farmers themselves and by many of the grower groups that represent farmers that it is difficult to understand all of these standards. Exactly how to set up your farm so you have these best practices in place is not easy. So instead of trying to leave it to each individual farm to try to figure this all out, the program was put in place to train technicians who have some skills and some specialized training to look for particular issues and to understand potential solutions. And that has been a big benefit to the farmers themselves, is just that access to that technical information. In addition, farms, if they can stay within the generally accepted agricultural management practices, that is a benefit to them as they conduct their farming operations. It gives them some security that they're operating under good practices. And our standards are in compliance with those standards as well. So when they're done working through our process, they can feel confident that they're in line with those good practices and other regulations that might be out there, such as fuel system setups and things like that.
Now, when a farm participates in this program, it's completely confidential, and a trained technician actually will come out to take a look at your farm. So why do you guys do that?
We keep it confidential because it's felt, when the program was first designed, it was felt that it's essential that the farmers feel comfortable sharing with us whatever may be happening on their farm. When the technicians go out, they're not there to judge this farm or to make the farm uncomfortable. They're there to carefully look through everything that might be happening and give that farmer their best advice about how to address any issues that are discovered on that visit. So if that's not kept confidential, it was felt that it would be difficult for farmers to really openly share everything that's happening.
Why is it important that other farms do this?
It's a growing program. It's growing rapidly, and the farmers that I talk to that complete the program have a number of reasons why they do it. A lot of them really just do want to feel that they've done all they could do as far as environmental standards. They like the feeling that they're a participant in a program like this. Many farms are looking for the chance to present themselves to their community as a good steward, and so that's a reason that they go into it. As far as why should additional farms, look at the farmers who've undertaken it? Why would they participate? I guess I would leave it to each individual farm's own, values and motives. Some of them, there are some financial benefits sometimes to going through the program. Even some insurance companies will lower your insurance premiums for your liability if you've gone through this sort of program. But in general, most farms undertake it because they just feel it's the right thing they want to do for their farm.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being with us, Aaron. It was great to hear your insights on that. When we return, we'll actually hear from the owners of Wolf Creek Acres, a farm in Northeast Michigan that has gone through the process.
Insights into Northeast Michigan is produced by WBKB News. If you have any comments, suggestions, or topics you would like to see on a future show, please email WBKB News. This has been a production of Thunder Bay Broadcasting Corporation. All rights reserved.